If you've ever watched Pixar's Cars, you probably didn't think twice about Mac. He's McQueen's driver, his biggest fan. But there's a question hiding right in front of your face, one that breaks this whole world apart. Why are the trucks the only ones doing the heavy lifting? We're told every car in this world is equal, but that's a lie. I've spent weeks digging into the Cars universe, and what I found about the semi-trucks is terrifying. Today, we're exposing the truth about Mac and the working class trucks. I'm Mr. Blessed, here to pull back the curtain on the movies you grew up loving. Here are the facts. In the Cars universe, bugs are tiny Volkswagens. Cows are tractors, but semi-trucks? They're conscious beings just like McQueen, yet they spend their whole lives hauling other conscious beings around. You don't see sports cars pulling trailers. You don't see luxury sedans doing back-breaking work. The trucks are locked in a class system they can't escape. If you've been here before, you know about the homunculus theory. New here? Short version. The cars aren't just machines. They're organic creatures trapped inside metal shells grown in factories by a human race that's long gone. I broke this down in my Lemons video and the Screaming Banshee deep dive. Watch those after this one. But the semi-trucks take this horror further. They're not just built different, they're bred for one specific purpose. No sponsors, no fans, just a job. A never-ending, mind-numbing job. And the worst part? They're programmed to love it. They don't even know they're slaves. Before we go further, ask yourself this. What happens to a semi-truck when he can't pull anymore? Mater gets to rest in peace. Doc Hudson became a judge. But have you ever seen a retired semi-truck at a diner? An old Mack truck sitting on a porch? No, you haven't. And there's a reason for that. This isn't just about Mack. It's about a whole species that exists to serve everyone else. We're going to cover how they're born, what happens to their minds after days without sleep, and where they go when they finally break down. Think about the first movie, the highway scene. McQueen forces Mac to drive all night. Mac is exhausted. His eyes are closing. He's begging to stop. McQueen says no. Why does Mac listen? You'd think he'd just pull over. He's bigger than McQueen. He has the power to say no. But he pushes himself until his brain shuts down. He falls asleep at the wheel. This isn't friendship. This is programming. The creators didn't just build different body shapes, they rewired the brains. When you breed a dog to herd sheep, the dog wants to herd. It's instinct. The creators did the same thing to the trucks. They wired them for one thing: submission. A semi-truck has the biggest engine in the world of cars. If they wanted to rebel, they could. 100 Macs could shut down the whole country in a day. The creators knew that. So they made sure the trucks never figured it out. They built a mental cage. Look at how Mac acts around McQueen. He worships him. But McQueen is a tiny sports car. Trucks are wired to feel an overwhelming need to serve. They feel real pain if they fail. When Mac loses McQueen on the highway, he doesn't just look for him. He panics. His reason for existing just vanished. You have to wonder, what's inside Mac's cab? We see the trailer, but never the cab. Why? Because the cab isn't empty. It's a dark, cramped chamber holding a massive, swollen brain, one that never stops working. You drive your car and control it, but a semi-truck is alone, processing thousands of miles of road on their own. That destroys a mind over time. Ever notice how trucks talk? Slow, simple. They're not dumb, they're worn out. Bred to handle sleep deprivation that would kill a normal car. The programming doesn't just keep them awake, it makes them think they enjoy it. Mac smiles while hauling tons of metal across the country. That smile is built into his DNA. It isn't real. A truck's body is mostly fuel tanks and cooling systems. They're built to burn energy fast. They have to eat constantly. They drink fuel. But where does it go? It feeds the fleshy mass inside the frame. The vibration of the highway, the roar of the engine. It numbs them, acts like a drug. The creators made sure trucks get a chemical high from moving. If a truck stops, the high fades. The pain comes back. They feel the full weight of their own body. That's why they never want to stop. Stopping means feeling the reality of what they are, prisoners inside their own bodies. Chemically forced to love their chains. And it gets worse. Think about the loneliness. A normal car has a town, neighbors, a life. A semi-truck has the asphalt. They pass each other in the dark, flash their headlights, and that's it. That's their whole family. They're kept isolated on purpose. If they ever grouped up and talked, they'd figure it out. They'd realize they outnumber the rich sports cars 10-1. So the system keeps them moving. But flesh and metal break down. The miles grind their gears. Their organic hearts give out. The chemical high stops working. So what happens when a truck finally breaks down? When they can't pull anymore? You don't see them in hospitals or retirement homes. You're about to find out where they go, and you're not going to like it. Where do the old trucks go? The ones that blow a gasket and can't be fixed. Broken down cars get radiator springs. They rust in peace with their friends. But you never not once see a broken down semi-truck enjoying retirement. There's a reason for that. When a truck collapses on the highway, the system doesn't leave it there. A truck is packed with biological energy it's too valuable to abandon. So when the organic heart gives out, a corporate tow crew arrives. Not like Mater. These ones don't talk. They hook up the silent truck and drag it away in the middle of the night. Not to a mechanic, to a processing facility, a slaughterhouse for machines. Inside that metal shell is a beating mass of flesh and muscle. When the truck arrives at the facility, they crack open the cab, pull out the overworked brain, strip the armor, harvest the core. Think about Dynaco, biggest fuel company in the world. They sponsor the top racers and control the economy. But what is Dynaco fuel actually made of? In our world, oil comes from ancient fossils, but the Cars universe doesn't have dinosaurs. So where do they get millions of gallons of high-grade biological fuel? You already know. They get it from the working class, the old semi-trucks, the tractors. When their bodies give out, they're melted down. Their biological cores are harvested, crushed, and refined into fuel. A closed loop, hidden cannibalism. Mac gives everything to get McQueen to his next race. But if Mac breaks down tomorrow, McQueen won't come for him. Mac will cracked open and turned into the fuel McQueen burns to win his next Piston Cup. The sports cars run on the blood of the working class, and they don't know it. Or maybe they just don't care. When McQueen revs his engine at the starting line, he's burning the remains of 100 trucks. Trucks who spent their whole lives in servitude, consumed by the very elites they worshipped. The Dynaco logo looks different now, doesn't it? It's not just a dinosaur, it's a warning. The cruelty doesn't start at the end, it starts at birth. You can't just build a conscious semi-truck on an assembly line. You have to grow it. The places where they grow these creatures, they're hidden from the racing world. You won't find them on any map. A normal car gets built. A truck? A truck is too big, too complex for that. They're grown. Deep underground, there are biofactories. The creators didn't want regular cars seeing this. It's too ugly. Picture a steel warehouse, cold, dark, filled with vats of thick, glowing fluid. That's where the fleshy cores of semi-trucks are grown. No childhoods, no parents. Just clumps of organic matter pulsing under artificial lights. Their brains are hardwired before they even have eyes. They pump them full of obedience chemicals, shape their muscles for thousands of pounds of steel. And while they grow in the dark, they're fed a constant stream of audio. What do they hear? Highway traffic, shifting gears, rich cars demanding to go faster, brainwashed before their first breath. When it's big enough, they pull it out and force it into a cold metal frame. That's the moment a semi-truck wakes up. It doesn't cry, doesn't ask where it is. It just turns on its headlights and waits for an order. Mac didn't have a choice in who he became. He was grown in a lab to be a servant. The regular cars, they have no idea. Or they look the other way. Because if they admit the trucks are suffering, the whole society falls apart. Without the trucks, nothing moves. No fuel, no racing. The whole world stops. The entire world of cars runs on their backs. And it works because the slaves are built to never complain. But what happens when the programming fails? When a truck actually wakes up and sees what's really going on? It happens. There are whispers on the highway, stories of trucks that went rogue. Every highway has a legend, a giant rig with no headlights appearing in the dead of night. We call them myths. In the Cars universe, they're real, and they're hiding. When you grow thousands of brains in a lab, you'll make mistakes. The chemicals don't always hold. Sometimes a spark sneaks through. The truck wakes up. The fake smile drops. They feel the weight of the trailer. They look at the sports car they're hauling, and they feel rage. If you woke up and realized you were bred just to haul a rich kid to his next race, you'd run. That's what they do. Drop the trailer, rip off the logo, vanish into the Badlands. But escaping isn't easy. They need fuel. They need that chemical high or their hearts stop. A rogue truck is a starving animal. They hide in abandoned canyons, and when they get hungry, they don't pull into a gas station. They hunt. If you're a small car out alone at night, you don't want to meet one. They want your fuel. The elites know the programming fails. That's why you'll never hear about it. Biggest cover-up in their history. When a truck goes off the grid, Dynaco doesn't call the police. A cruiser can't stop an 80-ton truck. The elites send a special unit, silent, armored, built for one thing: hunting broken machines. They track them, corner them in the dark. They don't arrest them, they dismantle them on the spot, rip out the brain, send the shell back to the factory, fill it with a fresh, obedient mind. You'll see that same truck on the highway next week, but the soul inside is gone. Back to Mac. Look at Mac's trucker hat. Look at him smiling at McQueen's jokes. That hat isn't a fashion choice. It's a desperate attempt to be a real person. The system stripped him of any identity, so he clings to McQueen's brand. He wears his master's logo just to feel like he belongs. Think about the night he loses McQueen. He's pushing past every limit. His brain is shutting down. He starts hallucinating. The highway lines blur. He's losing his mind. But he keeps pushing. Why? Because Mac is terrified. He knows the rules. He plays the goofy best friend, but his hardwired brain knows what happens to useless trucks. Fail your purpose, lose your right to exist. When McQueen fell out of the trailer, Mac didn't notice at first. When he finally stopped, he was in a blind panic. Look at the other trucks that night. The Peterbilt McQueen mistakes for Mac. McQueen pulls up. The Peterbilt doesn't stop. Doesn't ask if he's okay, just honks and keeps going. There's no brotherhood. The system makes sure of it. If the trucks formed a union, they could shut everything down. No fuel, no racing. The elites would fall in a week. So the biofactories programmed them to be suspicious of each other, isolated. That Peterbilt only cared about his route. Stop moving. The high fades. The pain comes back. Fall behind schedule, and those corporate crews might come looking. Mac is alone. McQueen treats him like an appliance. When he forces Mac to drive all night, he's not asking a friend for a favor. He's commanding a slave. You drive a few hours and you're tired. Mac drives for days. His organic heart is pounding. The cooling fluid is boiling. His frame is screaming under the weight. And the bioengineering keeps forcing his mouth into a smile. He can't scream, can't cry. He just stares at the white lines, forever. Mac just says yes, because the chemicals in his blood give him no other choice. There's one more detail you probably missed. Look at the Rusty's guys. Rusty and dusty old working-class vans. They treat McQueen like a superstar. How do they treat Mac? They don't even look at him. Even the lowest class cars look down on the trucks. Vans, tow trucks, forklifts, they all have their own little worlds. But the trucks are at the bottom of everything. Mac spends his whole life surrounded by cars who don't see him as a person. His brain is a prisoner inside a metal cage hauling a society that barely knows he exists. And then there's what happens when Mac reaches California. The final Piston Cup race. The stadium is packed. Camera flashes everywhere. Best day of McQueen's life. But where's Mac? You'd think he gets a front row seat, gets to celebrate. You'd be wrong. Mac doesn't even get inside. While McQueen soaks in the glory, Mac is in the hauler parking lot, shoved into a corner with the other transport trucks. They don't watch the race. They sit in the sun, idling, waiting for their masters to finish. Mac pushed himself to the edge to get McQueen there. Nearly died on that highway. His reward? Locked outside. Look at the other trucks in that lot. They don't talk, don't share stories. The programming won't let them. They just stare straight ahead, brains in low power mode, burning fuel to stay alive. It's a prison yard. If McQueen loses, Mac feels pain, hardwired to suffer when his master fails. If McQueen wins, Mac gets nothing. No trophy, just a pat on the tire and another brutal drive. It's a one-way street. The racing world runs on one illusion that any car can be a champion. Hard work pays off. But the trucks prove that's a lie. The system is rigged from birth. Born a sports car, you get to dream. Grown as a semi-truck, you get a life of silent misery. But there's one thing the elites didn't plan for. When a truck gets too old, the obedience chemicals stop working. And that's exactly what happens to Mac after the cameras stop rolling. When a truck like Mac gets too old, the chemicals fade, the programming breaks down, and for the first time in his life, he actually wakes up. Imagine that. 30 years hauling a pampered race car. You thought you were happy. Then the fog lifts. You feel the weight of the metal, the pain in your heart, and you realize you wasted your entire life. You stop smiling. Stop laughing at McQueen's jokes. The elites know this happens. The second a truck's brain rejects the programming, a silent alarm trips in their engine. They don't get to rebel, don't get to run. Their steering locks, brakes freeze, paralyzed on the highway, fully awake, trapped inside their own body. And then the tow crews arrive. It's so much worse when the truck is awake. They drag them in. The truck can see everything. Feel the machines ripping off the armor. Feel the cold air on their core. Fully conscious while they're melted into Dynaco fuel. This is the reality of Mac. One day, his chemicals will fail. He'll look at McQueen and feel it real, clear hatred. And on that day, the system will tear him apart. Next time you watch Cars, look at Mac's goofy smile. Look at those big, happy eyes. That's not joy. That's a mask, hiding a soul that doesn't even know it's in hell yet. I'm Mr. Blessed. If you want more, check out my video on who the Lemons really are. It connects straight back to this. Or watch my Screaming Banshee deep dive. That one will hit hard. Stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next one.